My man, how's everything going? Let me
What's
go
going
ahead.
on, boss?
Man, just chilling, trying to get things done.
All
Looking at my
right,
calendar and looking at how the days are going by fast. We're about to be in October.
bro.
It's
Crazy,
insane. Let me lower.
crazy, bro.
There we go.
Crazy, bro. Month went by crazy fast.
Now, I see you on your 6 months. Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
Speaking of
man.
time
Spark
going
your
by
resume.
fast, how are you
Spark your
feeling
resume.
about that?
Hey, man. Spark your resume is going well, man. Can't complain. A lot of work, a lot of things to be done, just like you said. But overall, man, blessed to be here. Excited, to be a part of that journey, that entrepreneurship journey. We're gonna keep building, man. Keep rocking. So keep
Yeah,
make
man,
it
I've
do
been
what it do.
saying that's the only way. It's the only way forward, man. Keep leading, keep progressing, and everything else will unfold. But speaking of leading, though, the big topic today is what is emotional intelligence, right? As we
Yup.
can see, it's becoming a very hot topic everywhere you go. From some of your top business leaders like the Fortune 500, and now people are even writing books on it because it's just an element that is just not common anymore. And I can understand that when we're talking about this day and age with everybody being disconnected. But we can elaborate on that very soon. So like, what do you think emotional intelligence is?
I actually want to start with a textbook definition, just to give the people a more overall sense of what emotional intelligence is and what it encompasses. So, emotional intelligence is also known as, or otherwise known as, emotional quotient, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly like EQ, right? A lot of people probably don't even know that, bro. Like, you know, but it's the ability to understand, man, to understand, use, and manage your emotions in a positive way to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and defuse conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence, man, I think overall it helps you build stronger relationships. It can help you succeed in school, work, personal relationships, business relationships, and adapt to changing circumstances. But
Mm-hmm.
I think even more importantly though, defuse conflict because it's going to arise, right? Whether it's in business
Yeah.
or personal, we're human, right? We're not going to all agree on everything, but I think that's where emotional intelligence comes in, and also the ability to put people first, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think it kind of correlates or aligns together with your core values, and just being cognizant of other people, right? Because if you're not cognizant of other people, then emotional intelligence it doesn't exist. Um, because at the end of the day, man, it's about realizing you're being aware of your surroundings, and your surroundings is other people.
Yeah. Now, I would definitely like to tack on to that. So I used to think emotional intelligence was just limited to, just understanding different people around you, just knowing how they work. But it really comes down to being aware of yourself. Like you said earlier, just being self-aware of your emotions and understanding pretty much what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what circumstances can you thrive in, what circumstances can you not thrive in, and why. You know, it takes emotional intelligence to say, hey, for a long time, for me personally, I used to have this problem of always just like being irritated or maybe angry, whatever the case may be. And then I realized, like, as I was growing up, just kind of looking through things, like, why do I always wake up every single day kind of like somewhat irritated? And I realized I wasn't getting enough sleep.
Mm.
I wasn't getting enough sleep. And once I started to sleep more, my attitude started to change. So it's the little things like that, just being able to pay attention to, you know, what makes you tick, what gives you energy, what doesn't give you energy. And
Right.
then and when we're talking about like moving outside of ourselves, I kind of like to tell people, hey, if you really want to maximize your emotional intelligence, treat people how you want to be treated. And I guarantee you that's when the ball game changes. If I expect people to be truthful to me, then I will be truthful to them. If
Right.
I expect people to be there for me, I will be there for them. Emotional intelligence is kind of like this two-way street, but it starts with you, if that makes sense.
Most definitely, bro. And I think even more so, like, emotional intelligence has to do a lot with your ability to make decisions based on your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, which is going to influence your overall behavior,
Yeah.
the person. Now, your behavior also depends on what scenarios you're in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can be at work is a different scenario than at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or going out with your friends, right? So emotional intelligence also plays a part of social awareness, and then also the people you're around. So relationship management,
Yeah.
right? So
Absolutely.
it all correlates. It's four key parts of four key sectors of emotional intelligence, which is self management. You have self awareness, um, social awareness, and relationship management.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are your four keys or four sectors of having a high level of EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for very competent skills that I think most people would like to increase over time. I don't think anybody's perfect, but if you're aware of those four, then you're constantly working at improving, right? In those four areas of being emotionally intelligent
Yeah.
or
I would
emotional
also,
quotient.
oh, sorry about that. Now, I was just going to say, I would also add on to that is also the ability to detach yourself from the situation.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is kind of taking a objective look at a situation versus a subjective look, which is my point of view. Subjective is my point of view. But when you look at something objectively, you kind of get rid of your point of view and realize what's really going on. And then your ability to look outside yourself and look at others' points of view. So it's kind of taking away, like I said, yourself and looking at the situations in the whole, what's really going on. How do my colleagues really feel? You as a leader, right? You running Spark Your Resume. Sometimes you have to look at your employees and say, hey, if they have something going on, you have to kind of step outside yourself and say, what's going on? Why may you not be performing like you normally do? You know, or whatever the case may be. So really, just taking that time to detach yourself from the situation and really realize what's going on, because at the end of the day, as we talked about in the previous podcast, it's all about other people, and it comes back to you.
no, that's all facts, bro. I like how you said detach yourself, bro, and I think that just goes back to putting people first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you mentioned, it's not about you
Yeah,
at the end of the day, right?
it's not about you at all.
But
But
you have to be aware and cognizant of how you feel too,
yeah,
right? Because that's gonna ultimately determine your behavior, your actions towards other people,
mm-hmm.
and that's where the self-awareness comes in. So, like, what does it mean to have self-awareness, and why do you feel like it's important?
Repeat that again.
I said, what does it mean to have self-awareness, and why do you think it's important? Oh, not only for yourself, but for everybody.
So what I believe self-awareness is, like I said, I think it's really just the ability to kind of be detached from detaching yourself. And when I say detached from yourself, is the being able to realize what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you. It's to look inside yourself objectively and realize, hey, like I mentioned earlier, what makes me happy? What makes me sad? What type of work am I good at? It's not about necessarily what I want to do or what I think I need to do. It's more about what am I adept to? What fits me? You know? What type of people do I like to be around? What type of careers are best fit for me? I think for a long time I used to think, hey, I wanted to get into investment banking. But it took me a little minute to kind of gauge or just look into myself and realize, hey, investment banking isn't really the whole thing for me. I seen another route, and that was consulting, because I was like, hey, I looked inside of me. I said, I want to be able to work and see the bigger picture of things, you know? So it's really just kind of looking through yourself objectively and really realizing what works for me and what doesn't. And you can kind of help and this is something that comes with time. You really have to sit down and pay attention to what's going on around you. So if you're tired, right? Like I said earlier, it took me a minute to figure out why my tiredness triggered me to be irritated. You know? But how about you?
I think, bro, honestly, like, I mean, self-awareness isn't something we always think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. It's in our nature, right? It's really, I think being self-aware is really just knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, because I know for a fact 24/7 you're not thinking about how I feel, how yourself feels throughout the day.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way. Now, you probably get more in depth into your feelings when something triggers it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going through the normal day, you know, it's a calm day and nothing really happened. Nothing abnormal happened, right? Or you're not sad, you're level-headed, right? And I think that being self-aware will trigger that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time self-awareness actually kicks in. That's why I say it has to do with knowing who you are as a person. Because yeah, we all, you know, we want to be better at self-awareness. We want to do that. We want to do this. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and that's not the first thing, or barely even the last thing on our mind is being being aware of oneself, feelings, emotions, thoughts, inner feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I think it comes into more play like who you are as a person, because you know your core values, you know what you accept, you know what you don't accept, right, out of life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to ultimately determine how you feel throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout the month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in tune with what you want out of life, to where you're aware of how you feel.
Yeah.
Because it's purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
It's intentional.
Very intentional. You made a really good point earlier, and you know, I would say that even alongside with just understanding things that trigger you, you said something like core values. Things like that, you really have to take time to really sit down and think about that. And when you start there, I believe that's one of the pillars that starts that gives you an idea what self-awareness, what who you truly are. If you say something like, hey, I value family, and it takes you time to realize that, but you come to realization of that, then you start to orient yourself in a way that will help your family, friends, authenticity. You start to become more authentic. You know, being able to pinpoint these values and whatever other things helps really guide you on your journey through self-awareness. And then to add on top of this, on why it's important, it's kind of like training. You know, if you go into let's just say you're going to the boxing ring, right? Yep. A trained fighter sees more opportunities to mitigate to lower his opponent's guard. It's the same way with life. When you start to train yourself and prepare yourself in learning more about what makes you you, you start to see more opportunities that are out there. So it's the relationships that you build, career opportunities that are in your midst, and the list goes on. You know? But what would you say are some of the benefits to developing emotional intelligence that, you know, people maybe not really be aware of?
Right. I think, bro, honestly, like, I think it helps you build relationships a lot easier. Because then you're putting other people first, but then you're also realizing how you feel within that situation. It's really like strategy, bro.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's all strategy. So like now you're aware of how you feel, you're aware of your surroundings, you're aware of the relationship you're trying to build, to where you know how to leverage every aspect of that conversation, right? You're understanding who that person is. You're kind of identifying how they might feel based on body language, behavior analysis. It's just, it's just ways that people don't really take into consideration. It's nonverbal communication that we don't take advantage of. I feel like in relationships, because it's that person's behavior has more to do with them than it does with me. Right? But that might be who they are. Like I mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence is more of who you are than what you want to be.
That's very true.
It has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you, right? But if you're cognizant of their abilities, their capabilities, their emotional intelligence, their awareness, right? Their relationship management, then now you can leverage that to even spur opportunities for you to build a positive relationship with them, because now you're matching their weaknesses with your strengths, right? Because everybody has weaknesses, right? You're filling their empty void. You're filling their void. Because if I'm good at networking, I might not be good at something else, right? But if I have somebody that I meet publicly that I want to build relationships with, and they can fill that void, that's a relationship I want to keep.
Yeah.
Right? Because now they're teaching me how to be stronger. They're building my weakness, and they're turning my weakness into a strength.
And even capitalizing on the strengths you already have.
Exactly. And then even, who's to say that my strength is their weakness? Now it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But it took emotional intelligence, self-awareness, relationship management to identify that.
You know what? You hit the nail on the head with that one. Even looking at, the relationship that we have and the relationship with everybody within our circle, right? Yep. We're all making things happen in our own way, form and fashion. However, we all notice strengths and weaknesses that we all have.
Yep.
And we consult to each other, help each other out in whatever facet that might be.
Right.
From the people watching right now, when you develop relationships, be very intentional about the relationships that you build. If it's not a person who can help you further, who can help further you or help you work on, let's just say, a weakness that you have, that you realize, then you really have you really have to dig deep and realize why you all are, friends.
That's very true.
It's kind of like this right here. I could be the smartest person in the world, but if I lack confidence, and confidence is something that Leander has, I want to befriend him because then I can learn from him.
Right.
I can learn how to be more confident. That's one of the cheat codes to life. Be intentional about your relationships. I can't tell you how many relationships I've had with different friends that have taught me something, and I've grown exponentially from it. It can be something, and I can give you even a simple scenario that really doesn't have to do with emotional intelligence, but there's a intrinsic lesson behind it. Back then, I had a lot of friends that used to work out, older friends that used to work out. So people ask me, what are my workouts and how did I get to my size or what the case may be? It's because I watched somebody else do it and they taught me something and I carried it on forward. And now when somebody else comes under my wing, I do the same thing.
Right. You give it back.
Giving back, So you really have to think about every relationship as a catapult. Will that catapult launch me in the position that I want to moving on forward, or will it not? That's the decision that you have to decide.
And you really hit something. You hit a key word, bro. Like, you might be the smartest person, but if you don't have the confidence, right? It might limit your ability to be the best person in the world, right? Or just not even the best person in the world, but limit your ability to be a great person, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something else about emotional intelligence, where you can have all the technical capabilities in the world, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to, identify your emotions, network with other people, build relationships, have empathy for other people. Empathy is one thing.
That is huge. Empathy is huge.
So it's just like, you won't get far, bro. Because at the end of the day, man, life is about people. The
Mm-hmm.
world is ruled by people. We're all different. We all come from different backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, beliefs, culture. We're all different, but at the same time, we're all one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is so true.
You
So
know,
what makes you think that, or why do you believe a lot of people these days, kind of lack emotional intelligence, and as a result, it became a hot topic. But why do you believe we've gotten to this point?
I just think people don't care about other people. It's not even,
Yeah.
it's to the point where, yeah, we might preach it,
Mm-hmm.
and even myself, bro, I care about people a lot. I truly do. And I think I show that, in my day-to-day actions. But some people might think I don't, you know what I'm saying? So it's very subjective, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know what you're giving back to the world. But at the same time, I think we got to stop thinking about ourselves.
Yeah.
Everybody want to eat, right? Right. But nobody want to feed.
Yeah.
Are we claim we want to feed, but like, are we really feeding these people? You know what I'm saying? Are we really taking care of the people? And it's not even just, and it's multiple ways to feed people. Knowledge, listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, it don't have to always be monetarily incentives, right? It can be you having a conversation with somebody, you taking the time to nurture a relationship, mentor somebody, like just giving back in all aspects of life, bro. And I think when it comes to EQ, man, why people lack it is like we probably don't even care about it, especially our generation. We're not really cognizant of what EQ is or how we can leverage that to build better relationships, to even build our own selves. Because at the end of the day, it starts with you. You can't help anybody else unless you help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be in tune with who you are first before you can offer advice and give, right? Only give when you can, And I'm not, what I meant earlier is like, really only give when you're capable of giving. Don't put yourself in a bad situation trying to give so much, like you got time to do that, but you got to be able to give, right? To really make it sufficient for the other party to receive. So don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, trying to give so much when you really can't afford to give too much, and it's other ways to give too. And I'm not talking about just monetarily incentives, but giving your time, giving your effort. Like if you don't have the capabilities or bandwidth to do that, then don't do it. Take that time to really build self-awareness, get in tune with oneself, really understand your core values, what you believe in, how you're feeling at this moment, where you want to be. That way you're growing into the aspect of giving, I think people are trying to, jump and jump ship to where they see everybody else doing things, that they want to do, and they don't know the backstory to that person even getting to where they got.
That's so true.
And that's why, like I mentioned before, but you can't avoid what you see, right? But you can be cognizant, and that self-awareness, right? Okay, I realize this person is doing this. I just see them doing that, but I really don't know exactly how they got there or what they did to, be able to even do what they do, So let me go do some research and how they even got started first. Maybe even hit them up, schedule a consultation or phone chat. Build that relationship to where they can even advise me on how to get started, right? So like, I think just taking that moment, just don't take everything for what you see, right? Do some deeper soul searching, and realize like the actual value and what people are giving to the world.
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to self-awareness, man.
Yeah. I will also say this, man, and a lot of people really don't understand this perspective about emotion. All emotion is energy in motion. I'm gonna repeat that again. Emotion is energy in motion. What do I mean by that? So, if I'm angry about something, somebody done hurt my feelings, right? I done got angry. When I feel angry, you know what that emotion is really telling me? It's telling me that it's not true. So if somebody tells me that I'm stupid, I get angry because my emotions are telling me that it's not true. And I'm gonna get a little deep with this, but your emotions are tied to your intuition. And intuition is something you develop with time and with self-awareness, but emotion is a guide. A lot of people say ignore emotions or try to cave them in, but that's the last thing you want to do, because that's the whole point of you having emotions, for you to feel others, for you to find the direction that you need to go, to even fulfill your desires. If you don't have any feeling towards your desires, you're not going to fulfill them. You have to have some type of feeling that's going to keep you up at night and keep you working when you need it the most, you know? And once you understand this and understand, okay, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling happy. These are all just indicators, guides that tell you what you need to do in that given moment of time. And you kind of have to translate that to whatever the context of the situation, on what that may be. You know?
Hey, man, come on, Terry, man. Back at it again, man.
Yeah,
Back
man.
at it again, bro.
It's a puzzle.
It
No,
is,
go ahead,
bro. It is. It's piece by piece, man. I think it takes time, bro. Everything takes time, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the centerpiece of life. Is time.
Nah, it is. Absolutely.
Everything is surrounded by time, bro. You know? And it's gonna keep ticking.
Yep. And it'll either reveal or expose you. One of the two.
That's very true. That's very true. But nah, man, I wanted to get into one more topic before we wrap up. So relationship building, and like, how do you interact with others, right?
Mm-hmm.
To build meaningful relationships, which includes active listening, and then like daily interactions, like at work or in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that relate? And how would you kind of tie that into leveraging EQ at school and in the workforce?
I would say we made a key point earlier, and I think where this all really starts is your core values, and really where do you want to go? You know, what are your desires and what are your values? I think will tell you a little bit about a little portion of the whole story. You know, like I said earlier, if I value friendships, family, or even, let's just say, freedom, what you might find is that I might have some goals or desires that correlate to that. So it could be, I desire to have a family. I desire to build wealth, monetary wealth. I desire to build social status or a wealth of friends that in a way are going to put me in a position I need to be in. I push them in other positions. So when you put that context in play, you kind of maneuver through life, and if I'm talking to people, right? If I'm going about my daily life talking to people, I kind of get cues on who and what is going to lead me to that next phase. Because like I said earlier, it's all a puzzle. And the big part of emotional intelligence is to be aware of yourself, so then it can propel you forward. Because your emotions, your self-awareness is going to give you indicators on what to look for and what not to look for.
That's very true.
And you know what? Because of that, like we said earlier, empathy. You feel others. So when I'm going about daily life and I'm talking to people, I'm getting to know them. And getting to know these people will tell me a little bit about themselves. Like, let's just say a relationship, right? Because I know a lot of people on here, try to find relationships and, everything. If you really want to know who's fit for you, ask them questions. Ask them what they want to do with their lives. What do they love? What do they value the most? And depending on how thorough their answers are, or how brief their answers are, or how shallow their answers are, that'll tell you everything you need to know. And this same thing applies to career advancements and even entrepreneurship. If you don't take time or have the desire, then you won't ask the right questions, and you won't be persistent with asking those questions, So to kind of like tie everything that I'm saying is kind of, like I said, find the core values, find desires, because once you find these two things, you start to see where there's some type of correlation. That's the foundation. After, when you build on that, start empathizing with others. Start understanding others first, and then it will propel you on forward. Because when people realize you take time to get to know them, it sticks with them, and then they want to do anything in their power to help you out. That started because you took time to build that foundation. You said, this is what I'm looking for, and everything else started to just flow on from that. So that would be my answer to that.
Hey man, that's dope, man. I like the fact that EQ has a lot to do with building relationships, but I also want to touch on the listening aspect, more than the talking aspect,
Yeah.
relationship, because I feel like even with me now, like I've even transitioned to listen more when people are talking to me than more
Same
than
here.
respond, right? Because what I've learned from doing that is they're gonna tell me everything I need to know in that conversation. Right? If I'm
Man,
asking,
I can't tell you enough.
Man,
it's the reason why we got 2 ears and 1 mouth.
There you go. I'm asking, intentional questions. Like even the clients now, I want to listen more than I talk. Start off the conversation to get them talking, but once they start talking, bro, they start rolling.
Yeah.
Comfortable. Now they comfortable talking to you, things like that, where it's easy. But I think you learn a lot more when you choose to listen rather than trying to listen and actually take in what they're saying, like really listen to and engage, not listen to respond.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're gonna understand, you're gonna feel their emotions within every word they're saying. And it's not just gonna be words coming out their mouth, but it's gonna be emotion behind it, where you're engaging on even a deeper level. And you're kind of getting where you kind of feel their energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Whether they having a good day, a bad day, they're frustrated, they're sad, they're happy, they're mad, and then you kind of tailor your approach or response towards that. But that's after you engaged and actually take the time to really understand their awareness, right? As a person, right? So I think just taking the time to really understand other people and where they're coming from can also put you in a good position to build that relationship, because now they feel more comfortable talking to you and having that conversation because they know you're listening.
Now, you oh, my fault. Go ahead.
Because I feel like, if I was talking to somebody and I knew they were, I did this little not trick, but just verifying what they said right throughout the conversation.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So where it's like, oh, okay, they're really listening. And then at the end of the conversation, okay, you mentioned this, and this. This is how we can help. Or this is how, now you have a structured response to what they actually said. You're not just offering value because you might think they need it, but they've already, in that conversation, they listed their problems, right? To where you can come up with a individualized solution tailored to that person. Not because this is what you believe is good for them, but it's because what they told you, right? And now based on what your core values and what you believe in and how you can bring value to the world, you structured a response tailored to that specific person. That means more to me than just a commercial, right? I'm not giving you a script, that I give to everybody, or I want like an advertisement, but it's tailored to that specific person you're having that conversation with or wanting to build that relationship with. And I think that goes right back into EQ, bro, which is being self-aware and in relationship management and in identifying other people's behaviors and personality cues, their traits, like how they're coming off towards you, can help you in the long run to where you can fill that void like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no, you made a good point. Listening was actually one of the skills that took me a little bit to develop. And I wasn't self-aware of that at first until one day, um, I'm out with a few friends and we were having this debate. And like, you know, at times I didn't really realize how assertive I was, you know, when I'm talking to people or the case may be. So it can come off as intimidation for some people,
Yeah.
but you know, I wasn't aware of that at the time. So I'm just, you know, I'm talking. I'll hear what I have to say, but I always just had a response for that. Meanwhile, my good friend, you know, you guys might know is Frankie. Frankie is a great listener. And I remember looking at him and he didn't say a word. He's just looking at everybody, just listening to what they had to say. And I really took note of that night. And I was like, you know what? He did not say one word. And when it was time for him to speak, they listened. So I really took that in. And it was like, all right, I need to start practicing to listen. And it's paid dividends for me. You
Even
know,
myself, bro, I'm getting better at it.
you know, it took time. And now people say, you know, he's a good listener. Just that it was just something I had to develop and have to be self-aware of. You know, eventually I will be able to talk at some point in time, but realizing it kind of ties into the point of people come first. You know, it's some things that you're seeing a commonality of or a common theme of, you know, when in life. And it just took time for me to really realize that. And that was one of the things that, like I said, just over time, trial and error, this is what it got me to. And it gave me the ability to really dive deeper into conversations that I had. Like you said earlier, you would hear a conversation and you would take something out of that conversation and kind of framing the question to dive deeper. So I could say something, I can hear somebody say, or you could say something like, you know, my favorite food is Mexican food, right? Mexican food. Why is Mexican food your favorite food? Well, because oh, really? So what makes you say that? You know,
Right.
it just the conversation keeps going. And matter
Can
of
you
fact,
elaborate?
for the people who don't know how to keep a conversation or have a conversation rolling, you know, ask questions. And the follow up, you don't even have to think of questions after any follow up questions. Just listen to the conversation and pick a part of the conversation that you're the most curious about for that person. Hey, Leander's an entrepreneur. So Leander's talking to me. You know, I'm running a business. You know, I'm an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur? What type of business do you run? Well, I run a resume consulting. Oh, resume consulting. What made you want to get into resume consulting? And you know, so forth.
Right.
You know, and I also have to kind of just drop this gem right here, man. If you really want to know if somebody is saying if they are who they say they are and does what they say they're going to do, look them in their eyes. Some people find eye contact very intimidating, but if you've been around me, my eye contact is intense.
Oh yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, my eye contact is intense, and like I said, I'm gonna get a little deep right here, but when I'm looking you into your eyes, I'm looking to see does your energy match the things that you say? Does your soul kind of glare when you speak about the things that you speak about?
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, that's a whole we could make a whole thing on that. Honestly, eye contact, but these are just the cues that you have to look into that is going to help develop your emotional intelligence. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. There's a reason why they say that. It's absolute reason why they say that. But you know, for the people kind of listening here today, what would you recommend be some of the steps that somebody takes to developing the EQ? What does it look like? Like we talked about how to do it, but what would be some of your recommendations on what to do? We talked about core values, everything of that nature. What would you think is a process or some recommendations, or do you kind of think it's just kind of rolls in the same?
I mean, first research. You know, don't just go off what we say. Back it up, right?
Yeah.
Do your own research. See what the definition is, right? See what you lack and see what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
Because EQ is not too broad, but it has different sectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we touched on earlier. But figure out what you're good at. Figure out your strengths in EQ. Figure out your weaknesses in EQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say, if you know somebody that's good at your weakness, leverage them.
Mm-hmm.
but also conduct even more research and dig deep within yourself to want better. You know, write it down, man. Like I said, you can't avoid what you see. You know, write down your goals, write down your core values, right? Maybe even write down how you're feeling throughout the day.
Yep. Write down
Take
what
pics.
troubles you, what makes you happy.
Right. Write down the bottlenecks, you know, within your life.
Yep.
I think that if you take that approach, you'll find peace within yourself. You'll find yourself more aware of your surroundings. You'll find yourself happier in your relationships. But even most importantly, you'll find yourself happier with you. Because now you're so intentional about how you feel and what you do and who you're around, where it comes back full circle into how you live your daily life. So I think it's very important to take the time to pour into oneself before you even think about pouring into somebody else.
Nah,
and I'm not an expert at EQ, right?
Yeah, none of us are.
I'm
It's a
preaching,
lifelong
you know what I'm saying,
process.
the things that I'm doing, right? I try to, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. No, I'm not gonna come on the podcast and say, yeah, I'm thinking about how I feel 24/7. No, I don't, right? But I take certain periods of the day out the week. I'm not gonna say I do it every day, right? But I think I'm more in tune with how I'm feeling throughout the day, and I try to once that feeling triggers, I'm like, all right, Leander, you might, you know, take a deep breath, walk outside, do something like, you know, okay, this is that time of the day where you might feel this way, right? And it becomes a pattern over time, bro.
Yeah.
But I think mostly my advice would just be to dig deep, man. Really figure out, you know, what you want out of life, and then once that's done, take the steps on trying to really be cognizant and be aware of your feelings throughout the day. Just start with Monday and Friday, 2 days out the week. Like, what hours do I want to do out of Monday? Maybe I stop everything at 12 and see how I'm feeling throughout the day. Maybe I stop at 8 p.m. on Monday and see how I'm feeling, and then compare those two. You know, and you can do the same thing for Friday, and then also not just with yourself, but when you're around other people, right? How am I feeling right now being around this group? What is this group? How does this group make me feel? Right? Now you're understanding what type of group I'm affiliated with, right?
Yeah.
If I feel knowledgeable around this group, this might be my group that I need to talk to about business or, you know, my goals, right? If I feel like, you know, encouraged by this group, you know, this is my motivational group, I might need, you know, some uplifting, right? If I feel like, you know, this is my more health group, I go to the gym, I feel healthy around this group, I might need to go to the gym with them. I learn, you know, what they're eating every day, you know, to be a healthy individual, right? It's different facets of life that we leverage different people for. And I think that just comes back to, you know, really honing in on your self-awareness and being aware of your surroundings and who you surround yourself with, man. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? So take advantage of that. Be cognizant of that, and being very intentional about who you surround yourself with, because they pour into you more than you think they do.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And for the people who are struggling, you know, to kind of like dig deep, if it really is something, takes this extraneous effort for you. What I used to do when I was younger was I used to take personality tests, and I've mentioned this before in the past, but they really do provide a great indicator of the type of person that you are, the type of things you look forward to, the type of work that you like to do, you know, and the list goes on forward. So, like, for example, everybody's extrovert. I mean, there's people who are extroverts, introverts. There are some people who are intuitive versus maybe, let's just say, practical, very sensational. Some people who are judgmental, whatever the case may be. Once you figure out like what your personality type is, that could be a starting point of understanding, you know, what are my desires, what really are my desires, what I really want in life, where I want my life to go, you know, and the list goes on forward. If you really want to help track and to kind of capitalize or to kind of top off what you were saying, like tracking my feelings from Monday to Friday, I'm going to be a forever advocate of journaling. Journal, 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 journal.
Bro, I need to talk to you about that, bro, because I need
Yeah,
to
man.
start.
I actually had to do it today, man, because actually I've been doing it quite these past few days because I've kind of been feeling funny. Kind of just me being busy all the time, and then
Dang,
me
bro.
being so busy, it's kind of made me feel out of tune with myself in a sense.
Bro,
And I
what?
literally had to take these past 2 or 3 days and sit in dead silence to kind of like figure out what is going on with me. Why do I feel the way that I do? And you know, the answers
Bro,
are starting to kind of reveal themselves to me, but it took time to like sit in silence, journal my thoughts. What did I like? I literally journaled today. What do I want out of life? Just to kind of remind me of what that is. What does that look like? Is it still there? You know, or you know, how am I feeling? You know, what is the person that I want to be? You know, these are the things that I journal. And there's a reason why businesses have whiteboards, documents,
true,
and things so forth because we're very visual people. We rely on our eyes a lot. And when you can
true.
pinpoint your eyes into a goal that you want, if you see a nice car outside, it catches your attention. It's the same thing with your goals. When you look at your goals, you get the vision. And not only that, but when you see your goals, when you're moving through your daily life, it gives you indicators on what to look for that is going to line you up to that goal.
That's real, man. Mastermind Terry, man, back at it again with another episode of Wisdom Wednesday, man. Hey, man, let the people know where they can find you, bro.
Man, you guys can find me, you know, on here in IG at TLynnR. That's 2 N's, TLYNNR98 on Instagram, or you can add me on LinkedIn, Terry Robinson, TERRY, Robinson, ROBINSON. You know, if you guys want to chat, learn more about journaling, personality tests, or just anything kind of around emotional intelligence or anything, really, you know, feel free to hit me up.
Yeah, man, Mastermind Terry back at it again, man. Love Terry,
And,
man. So
man, I
that's my guy.
appreciate you, man. It's been an interesting past couple of weeks, but you
Yeah,
know,
bro,
we're making it through, and you
this the
know, just
fourth
being consistent in everything that we do. You know,
It's the
whether you're
fourth.
feeling happy, whether you're feeling just out of it, you know, just stay
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah, bro. This the fourth Wisdom Wednesday, man.
Fourth of many more. Fourth of
Yes,
many more.
sir. Yes, sir, man. Month of Wisdom Wednesdays in the books, man. I think it's 5 weeks in September.
Yeah.
Oh,
When they're
man.
four, yeah. About
Because
four.
next Wednesday is still September, but it's the last day of September. So we'll have one more in September. Then we'll have 5 episodes September, bro. That's crazy.
Whew. Wow.
That's crazy. Crazy.
I tell you, time does definitely fly, man. But I'm looking forward to seeing what else this year brings. So.
Oh yeah, man. We got a lot. We got a lot to do, bro. A lot to get done, man. A lot coming with Spark the Resume, coming with Spark Your Success. Not gonna lie to y'all, I am tired.
Same here, man. I just got
Bro.
through, well, finishing up majority of an exam, and I'm still kind of finishing up the exam. So I'm like,
Already knowing, bro.
got kind of just been switching my mind, going from one gear to the next.
That's how it is, bro. Throughout the day, I just be moving, bro. Like
Yeah.
I was feeling like that, like you mentioned earlier. It's like I feel like I'm not in tune with myself. You know what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
So like I'm even trying to, find a way to release. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
full-time job, business, podcast, like trying to be healthy still. You know what I'm saying? Work out, like, and being a dad. So
We're all human, you know. We're all
right.
human, and some people can look at us. You know, I know there's a lot of people that look up to us and think that, hey, you know, these guys are just unstoppable. Nah, not at all. You know,
Bro,
we may not talk about it, you know,
right.
on social media or the case may be, but you know, we all go through it
Oh, for
with
sure.
our different things that we have going on, you know.
Bro.
But you know, the key thing is just that stuff too, because like you said something earlier, like people have different positions in your life for a different reason. You just have to realize it, what that may be. So,
But nah,
yeah,
man, I think it's a good episode, man. How to leverage EQ in the workforce and in life. We kind of switched it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I'm your host, Leander Howard II of the Spark Your Success podcast, where we dive into entrepreneurship, career advancement, life segments, and we highlight real people obtaining real results in multiple industries. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Love, Lee.
Oh, all right, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. I like